Welcome into IATD TV, and today I'm giving you an update on my fossil deck profile. The first deck profile we made was interesting, but it didn't really give itself a lot in terms of going first and competing against decks on the same level as it, and definitely higher than it. It just had a big time struggling. So what I wanted to do was just give it an update, give it some fresher cards, make it a little bit better, make it a little bit more able to hang with the big boys. And before we get into this, just want to say that the response to the recent giveaway on my channel has been absolutely fantastic. At the time of recording this video, it is going to be around 8 PM Eastern today on this Sunday that we announce the winner. So do stay tuned for that. I will reach out to you and we will get that sent out once you are the lucky winner. But without any further ado, we will start off with today's deck profile. So we start off with 2 copies of Weathering Soldier. This is our searcher for the deck. It's going to be something that we want to send off Foolish Burial or a specific Foolish Burial spell. It was at 3 copies. We cut it down to 2 just because it's not too great if you hard draw it, but you definitely want to have a copy in your deck if you do. 1 copy of Nemesis Keystone. This is just going to get our Banish rocks back into the deck, just help us continue to make plays. It's a nice little piece of recursion. 2 copies of Sentry Soldier of Stone. This is a fantastic target to send to the grave. It's a nice little extender, just helps to get the plays going. 2 copies of Kawaki Meru Supplier. This is a fantastic little extender, just helping us to get another monster on board and just to help us further those plays. 2 copies of Mathematician. It's a fantastic normal summon. It's going to let us send any rock monster to the graveyard. And if we send, for instance, Sentry Soldier of Stone, we can bring it straight back, link it off into Anaconda, and start going from there. So rock deck, so 3 copies of Block Dragon is absolutely a must. This gives us some protection. It gives us some searches and some recursion. It's a fantastic card for the deck. I'd be surprised if it doesn't take some sort of hit on the next ban list, actually. 1 copy of Pot of the Forbidden. As you saw in the last deck profile, we make Gallant Granite. So popping a Pot of the Forbidden down just to get some extra draw power, or one of its other busted effects, is fantastic. Next up, we got 3 copies of Parallel Exene. This is what's going to help us get us to Gallant Granite, and the only thing that isn't a Earth Rock, with the exception of Mathematician, in the deck. 3 copies of Adamancipator Seeker. Now this is where we change the deck. We're giving it a small Adamancipator engine just to give us some turn 1 plays and hopefully put up a slightly more intimidating board. So we go with 3 of the Seeker, 2 of the Researcher, and 1 of the Analyzer. And that just gives us some fantastic synchro plays. It gets us some monsters on the board for Anaconda. It just makes the deck a whole heck of a lot more consistent, and it gives it a lot better time going against better decks going first. 3 copies of Time Stream. This is a fossil deck, so we definitely want to help rank our fossil fusion monsters up into stronger ones, and this is going to help us do that. 3 copies of Fossil Fusion. Obviously, this deck doesn't do a lot if it goes first on its original build, but now it has some plays going first as well, but this is one of the better going second cards in the deck. 3 copies of Miracle Rupture. Absolutely fantastic card. It's a Foolish Burial for the deck. It sends everything that we need to the graveyard, and it even has Giant Soldier of Stone pictured on it, which I think is absolutely fantastic. We might as well play 1 copy of Foolish Burial. We got 2 Mathematicians, 3 Miracle Rupture, and a Foolish Burial. So we got 6 different ways we can send that rock monster to the graveyard. We cut from 3 to 2 on the Rebirth of Parsha, just because we need a little bit extra going first, and I don't want to have to just sit behind the counter traps. Speaking of counter traps, we have 3 copies of Solemn Strike right here. Again, just gives us some further protection and some going 1 plays, and just helps us to be able to disrupt the opponent. And in that line of thinking, we also have 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Again, for the same reason, it gives us some plays and also helps us go into Avenging Knight Parshath. So that about does it for the main deck. Extra deck has changed up slightly as well, so we'll go into what we have in there. We have one copy of Skullgar. This is going to get us into a Fossil Fusion if it goes from the field to the graveyard, and it's a nice level 4. 2 more level 4s, we've got 2 of the Skull Bone. This is going to add us a Time Stream to the hand if it goes to the graveyard, so it helps us just to rank up further. 2 copies of Skull Knight. This is the one that inexplicably carries a larger price tag than all the other ones. It can make second attacks. It's a pretty decent all-round card. It's not the central point of the Fossil deck, but it's certainly a good card to go into. 1 copy of Skull Yugioh. If we're going to OEK the opponent, this is a nice little card to do so, and the artwork is too fantastic not to include at least a copy. 2 copies of Skull King. This is probably the best out of them, as I knocked the camera there, apologies. With 2 copies there, we can special summon the Moments monster from the graveyard onto our side of the field, so we can use it as an extender as well. That wraps it up for the Fossil part of the deck. We have 1 copy of Christian Halki Firebax, Needle Fiber, whatever you want to call it. To go with our Adamantipator engine just means that we can special summon one and go into some synchro plays. We have 1 copy of Verte Anaconda. This is just going to help us for our Fossil plays and going into Fossil Fusion if we don't hard draw it. So Fusion deck, so 1 copy of Cross Sheep is a must. With obviously fusions, we can special summon a monster from the graveyard, and it'll just act as a nice little extender there. For Xyz, we only have 1, and it's 1 copy of Gallant Granite. Hoping to get a secret rare copy of this in the upcoming Megatins. Obviously, we make this off Parallel Exceed, look to set a pot of the Forbidden, and just plus on our next turn. We have 1 copy of Avenging Knight Pasha. Obviously, we're just going to cheat this out with the Rebirth of Pasha, but as this deck deals a lot of piercing damage, I figured this would be a nice little inclusion. 1 copy of Adamantipator Risen Dragite. If I'm honest, this is probably Borreload Savage Dragon, and when the Megatins come out, that's probably what this is going to be. But for now, Adamantipator Risen Dragite is still a very nice negate that we can put as a level 8 synchro, and works nicely with the deck. Especially with Halki Fibrax being a water type. And then Naturia Beast, just for some more effect negation there. As a level 5 synchro, it gives us a few more options to make it. We can probably make it a lot easier than we can the level 8. So it just gives us another option to put on the board and just give us a non-once per turn negation. And so anyway, that about wraps up our new and improved Fossil deck. It certainly gives us a lot more that we can do up against the big boys going forward. If you like the content, give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, and a share. Really appreciate your support at IATD TV. Without any further ado, we're signing off. Peace out.